All right, let's talk about something that is frankly on the minds of so many international students and workers in Canada: bringing your family over. There have been some huge changes for 2025 and 2026, and we're going to break down exactly what these new rules mean for you. You know, at the end of the day, this is what it's all about. For so many people, the whole point of building a new life in Canada is to share it with the ones you love. It's about being together, not thousands of miles apart. And this is why we really need to get into the details. What used to be a pretty straightforward path has suddenly become a lot more complicated, with new restrictions and, honestly, much higher financial hurdles. So let's get into it. We're going to start with the single biggest change, the one that's really shaking things up for most people. And that's the new rules around spousal work permits. This is a real game changer. The difference here is just, wow, it's incredibly stark. It used to be that if you were a student in pretty much any program, your spouse could probably get a work permit. But now, that door has slammed shut for a lot of folks. Eligibility is now super restricted to spouses of students in very specific, high-level programs. So, to be crystal clear, who still makes the cut? Well, a spousal open work permit is now pretty much only for people whose partners are doing a master's, a PhD, or a professional degree. Think medicine, law, that kind of thing. If you're in a college diploma or a general undergrad program, this option for your spouse is most likely off the table. And that leads to the million-dollar question, right? If your partner can't get a work permit, does that mean they can't come at all? The answer is yes, they can still come, but it's going to look very different. So, the main alternative you're looking at is the visitor visa, or TRV. This lets your spouse live with you in Canada while you study. But here's the huge catch, and it is a big one. They cannot legally work. This has massive financial implications, which, you guessed it, we're getting into right. Okay, let's switch gears to the practical stuff, the nitty-gritty. To bring any family member over, you have to prove two fundamental things: that your relationship is real and that you can actually afford to support them. First up, the proof. This part is pretty black and white, but you have to get it right. For a spouse, you need that official marriage certificate. For common law partners, it's a bit more involved. You need a special declaration form, plus a solid year's worth of proofs you've been living together, like shared bills or rental agreements. And for kids, it's simple: a birth certificate with both your names on it. And now we come to what has become the new mountain for most families to climb: the proof of funds. Since many spouses can no longer work, the entire financial weight falls on you, the student. And the government wants to see cold, hard cash to prove you can handle it. So let's talk numbers. The baseline amount has shot way up. Just for you, the student, you now have to show over 22,000 Canadian dollars. And believe me, that's just where it starts. On top of your own funds, you need to tack on another $5,000 or so for your spouse or partner. So for a couple, you're already pushing close to $28,000. And if you have a child, you're adding almost another $6,000. So for a family of three, you're looking at needing to show well over 33,000 Canadian dollars in your bank account before you can even hit submit. And don't forget, on top of that massive proof of funds number, you've also got the actual application fees. You've got $255 for a work permit, $100 for a visitor visa, $150 for a child study permit, plus a family biometrics fee of $170. These numbers and timelines are really important to factor into your planning. Okay, so let's say you've checked the eligibility boxes and you've got the funds lined up. Now you have a really big strategic decision to make. Do you apply for everyone at the exact same time, or do you come first and have them apply to join you later? And there's a serious trade-off here. Applying all together means, well, you all get to arrive as a family unit, which is amazing. But it means you need that huge amount of money for proof of funds right from day one. Applying later can be a bit safer if money is tight, but that comes with the very real emotional cost of being separated for months on end. So really, the whole thing boils down to these 5 steps. First, pick your strategy, together or separate. Then you gather all your proof of relationship and your financial docs. Submit everything online. And finally, get your biometrics and any required medical exams done. It's a clear path, but every single detail matters. Now, this next part is maybe the most important section of all, because even if you follow every step perfectly, a good application can still get denied. We need to talk about the common traps people fall into, and more importantly, how you can avoid them. So why does this happen? I mean, you followed the rules, you've provided every single document they asked for, but you still get that dreaded refusal letter. what are the visa officers seeing that so many applicants are missing? It almost always boils down to one of these three things. We've already talked a lot about the money part. And having a genuine relationship means showing more than just a piece of paper. You need photos, chat logs, letters. But the trickiest one, the one that trips up so many people, is that first one, the ties to home paradox. And here's the paradox. It's like a catch-22. You're trying so hard to prove your family as a tight-knit unit so they can come with you, but if you bring everyone, the immigration officer might look at that as a red flag. They might think, well, what reason does this person have to ever leave Canada when their permit is up? So the fix is to get ahead of this. You have to actively provide evidence of major ties that are keeping you connected to your home country. This could be things like property you own, investments you have back home, or showing strong family ties, like being a caretaker for your elderly parents. You have to give that officer a very compelling story for why you will return. Okay, so to wrap this all up, here are the 4 things you absolutely have to take away from this. 1. Spousal work permit eligibility is now super narrow, mostly for master's and PhD students. 2. The amount of money you need has skyrocketed. 3. Your strategy, applying together versus later, is a critical decision. And 4. You have to prove you have a life to go back to in your home country. So we'll just leave you with this question to think about. Now that you know it's changed, what's the one thing you can do today to start preparing? Maybe it's opening a savings account for that new financial target. Maybe it's digging up old rental agreements. Knowing these new rules is the first step. The next one is yours.